And 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Inner City Hermit. We're going for episode I don't even know anymore. I probably should know, but I don't know. I think that's a good thing. That means we're cooking with gas, as one would say, or electricity, depending on what type of stove you have. But yeah, I'm feeling really good again. I had a shit week. Not a shit week as in things have happened to me, but a shit week in that there's just a lot going on. I wasn't even actually going to do a podcast this week just because of the amount of work I have to do in terms of schoolwork. I know being a PE teacher is the best job in the world until you get to about the 9th week of school where you actually have to do marking. So I have a lot of assessments to mark and I've still got a lot of assessments to mark, but I feel like because I didn't record during the week, that was probably one of the reasons why I didn't feel that great. So I'm glad it's Saturday morning. I'm actually doing a record, edit, and upload podcast today. There's no space, no room for error. So I haven't actually had any time to put any notes down either. So I'm going old school. I'm going just rambling. I'm just going to ramble for like 30 minutes. Whatever comes to my mind is going to come to my mind. But I watched a Dave Chappelle comedy special. I love watching Dave Chappelle. I was a big fan of the Chappelle Show back in the day. I love it. Used to offend everyone. It was great. But I think Dave Chappelle's really cool in that if you watch a lot of his comedy, it's a lot of like sitting down and just chatting. He'll literally just sit there and just chat to the audience for like half an hour. And then a lot of the stuff that comes up, it'll actually be super funny. So I love that format. So I'm calling it Chappelle style this podcast. So, it could be the greatest podcast of all time. It could be a flaming hot piece of dog shit, but you gotta be in it to win it. So let's see what happens. But yeah, like I said, it's been a busy week. Flashing back to episode 2 when I teased people for being busy, but I have been busy, doing a lot of marking, doing a lot of stuff, setting up in preparation for week 10 so I can switch off a little bit and have a little bit of fun at school. So that's really good. But I think mentally this week has been a little bit draining. I found myself getting, I've found myself getting mad at things that I don't usually get mad at. And I think that is because of stress. I think we all get into a little bit of you kind of get to whatever job you do, whether you're, an architect, that was the first thing that came to my mind, whether you're a pro wrestler, whether you're a rapper, whether you're a businessman, whether you're a bloody skydiving instructor. I think after, a good 10-week period of working straight, you get mentally exhausted and you kind of have to reset yourself or change up your routine a little bit. So I found myself changing up my routine a little bit. I haven't been doing gym in the morning, which it's not a bad thing, but it's something that I like doing in the morning. It makes me feel good, but I've been doing it in the afternoon. So my outlook on gym this week has been like, oh, fuck, do I have to? Whereas usually it's like in and out in the morning and then I can come home and chill out. But yeah, I think, once I get over this hump, you get into, you refresh yourself, you have a good weekend, and hopefully I can turn things around next week and get my shit together, clean my room, as Jordan Peterson would say. But yeah, what's been happening this week? I got Uber Eats. That is another downside to me. I can always tell when I'm not mentally there because I eat shit food. Like I always will order Uber Eats, or I'll get lazy, or I don't know. I'm not eating as well as I should be. And if anyone tells you that diet has nothing to do with your mental feeling, they're fucking lying to you. Because I can guarantee you, if you eat well, and once again, I'm not saying bloody eat vegan or whatever, but if you eat good food, so whatever that is to you, if you eat good food during the week, I really believe it helps you mentally. Like I know I can always kind of pinpoint if I'm having an off week. It's usually because I'm eating too much junk food. Like for example, during the week this week, I went down to Woolies and got myself 12 vegan sausage rolls, and I ate them all in one sitting. And the next morning I felt like a busted butthole. Just felt terrible, felt lethargic, felt gross, bleh, just felt out of it. And you look at it, you're like, okay, I gotta eat well. I gotta eat better. So that's my goal for next week. I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna eat good food. My personal dietitian comes back from her holiday, which means I will have someone keeping me accountable, which is something that I think I need. As much as I like to think I'm very disciplined and I can keep myself to a strict plan, I'm not. I'll come home one day and I'll be like, oh, no one's gonna know if you eat 12 sausage rolls, eh? If you sit down in front of the TV and just scoff them down, look like Smeagol from bloody Lord of the Rings, just like, yes, my precious, and just eating sausage rolls, feeling like a big piece of shit. But yeah, we all have those weeks. Uber Eats. I was thinking this week, really over Uber drivers. Uber Eats drivers, both of them. Had a really weird experience with an Uber driver, actually. I've had lots of weird experiences with Uber drivers. Uber drivers are... You either have a really uneventful ride, and it's just in and out, see you later, mate, cheers for the ride, catch ya, or you end up having this weird, like, conversation about life and how, I don't know, how this person feels. Like, I had two experiences that are worth talking about. My first experience was, I jumped in an Uber with, I can't remember who it was. It was a mate. I know that. And yeah, it was a mate. I didn't catch an Uber with some random, dumb thing to say. It was someone I knew. Anyway, they get in the back, I get in the front. G'day, mate, how you going? Oh, yeah, good. Where are you going? I was like, I put it in the Uber, but anyway, I'm going here. And he goes, okay, brilliant. I get in the Uber. Nice car, awesome. Bloke seems cool. Doesn't seem like he's going to take me out back and kill me, which is always a plus when you're jumping in an Uber with someone you have never met before. Which is weird. Like, I have friends where if I jump in their car, I'm like, I don't really trust this dude's driving or this girl's driving. And that's someone you know. Yet we're completely fine with picking up our phone. Complete stranger's going to pick me up. I've never seen this dude drive before. He could be fucking terrible, but I wouldn't know any better. And just willingly jump in his car, in this steel death machine and just... Yeah, so, when you really analyse Uber Drive, the whole Uber thing, it's kind of sketch. Like, it's amazing that not as many bad things happen. But anyway, I get to a T intersection with this bloke, and there's a car coming to the left. And when you're a passenger and, everyone's got their own way of driving, but when you're a passenger, you're kind of thinking like, I wouldn't go yet because this car's coming pretty quick. Nah, not this bloke. So I'm sitting there and... when you get brake foot, brake foot's when you're in the passenger side and you're like, I don't know, your brain just tells you like, oh, put the brake on, and then you end up pushing an invisible brake in the passenger seat. I got brake foot real bad, and this dude just flung out, and I've fucking shit myself. Like, I reckon I have at least farted because of, like, I've just actually got to a point where I was like, oh, like I was grabbing my seat, and we flung around the corner. And the dude looks at me and he goes, "Are you okay, mate?" And he had an accent, but I don't want to do an accent because I'm horrible at accents. Every accent I come out always sounds like an Indian accent. I don't know why. But he flung out and I was sitting there like, oh my God, we almost died. And it was coming on the passenger side, so I would have been this bloke's airbag. Like, I would have copped the full brunt of the car, and I'm pretty sure it was like a Jeep coming towards us, not some little Nissan Cube. Fucking Nissan Cube. And he looked at me and he goes, mate, are you okay? And I said, oh, yeah. In my head, I'm like, no, I'm not okay. This dude almost fucking killed me. And he looks at me and he goes, it's okay. Some people get scared of my driving. And I'm like, oh shit, I wonder why, mate. And he goes, but, I'm not even going to put the accent on. He goes, but, and this is the funniest thing ever. He goes, I do this for a living. Like, this is what I do for a job. I'm a professional driver. And I thought, hold up. Rewind that track, boy. You drive for Uber. You're a professional driver? Like, I was thinking, like, dude, professional drivers are like Craig Lowndes. Are you seriously in a Mitsubishi Lancer calling yourself Craig Lowndes because you're driving two blokes around? Like, when he said professional driver, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, technically, you're getting paid to drive. So, I mean, like, I got paid to play football once. Wouldn't call myself a professional footballer. I'd still say I'm a shit kicker from down the road. But he called himself a professional driver, and then he went on this long, like, rant about how people don't understand how to drive, and I've been driving every day of my life. And I was like, firstly, so have I. I own a car. Wouldn't call myself a professional driver, though. So I thought that was really funny. And, he was just chatting. He just kept chatting about how he's a professional driver. And I was just sitting there like, all right, well, as long as this dude doesn't murder me, I'm fine. But he's not getting fucking 5 stars. I can tell you that right now. You kind of lose a star every time you almost kill your passenger. So that was one of my stories. Professional driver. I just thought, I've never heard that. Like, do you think you're Mark Scaife? Like, could you drive? It just seems silly. Just seems really silly. But, that's one experience you get with Uber drivers. So you get the experience where they think they're a good driver and they're not really a good driver. But then you get the other one where they are a good driver. They're fine. They usually drive speed limit, whatever. But they always love to... And, it's your fault because you kind of initiate conversation with that generic Uber driver chat. Like, oh, how long you been doing Uber? And you try not to. Like, you sit there. You ever seen those memes where it's like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. And then you're like, so how long you been driving Uber for? And you just sit there. You're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? It's like accidentally lying. You're just like, why did I say that? Why would I ruin this perfectly fine trip with that stupid question? And then that then throws it on the Uber driver, Your Uber driver now has the potential to do a long ass like conversation starter where you're now strapped in, seat belted in for 15 minutes of awkward idle conversation. Or they'll kind of give you a dismissing answer like, oh yeah, like 3 years, cheers mate. And then you sit there, you put your phone in, you're like, okay, cool, sick. But I was with this dude and I was with a big group. So luckily enough, I was in the back seat, like back. It was an Uber XL. And this dude was, how would I put it? He took his job very seriously. That's the only real way I can put it. And he was just having a yarn about passengers. And when someone, they speak to you and they're not mad, like they're not angry, but they seem really intense. Like they seem like if you say the wrong thing, they're probably going to punch you in the face. That's this dude. So the first thing we do, my mate, he goes, can we change the radio station? He goes, no, the music is set. And I was like, oh, that's a good tone setter. That's a great tone setter to indicate that this is going to be a 10-minute shit drive. Anyway, so one of the girls in the car actually starts having a yarn to him about Uber driving and all this sort of jazz. And he goes on speaking about respect or something. It's like, I get passengers and if they don't respect me, then I drive really fast. And if they're rude to me, then I drive really, really fast because I want them out of my car. And I'm like, okay, firstly, hang on. So if if someone is rude to you, you drive erratically and really fast, potentially putting them at risk of dying. I feel like that's not the way Uber drivers should drive. I feel like whether they're rude or not, I mean, when I worked in customer service jobs, if the customer was rude, I probably wouldn't fuck up their Subway footlong. Like, I just feel like they'd probably be more likely to complain. So this dude was going off saying how he drives really fast when, people are bad passengers. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he's like, when Uber drivers, I don't even know. It was a blur because I was terrified in the back. I was just sitting there like, this dude might have a gun on him. I hope not. But yeah, and then he started talking about life and how, life and how he loves driving and driving is his life and this is all he wants to do. And I was just like, oh my freaking God. Okay. And it was at that time where I knew I had 10 minutes left in the Uber and I just wanted to get the fuck out. But unfortunately, I was in the back of an Uber XL and I was the last one in the car because he had to fold the seats down. And he was having a go at me because I was folding the seats wrong. And it was just shambles. I don't know, if you're an Uber driver, just don't try to be a certain specific type of Uber. Just drive. Please, just get in the car. I just want to get there safely. I don't want to hear about your political views. I don't want to hear about your outlook on life. I mean, it's great. Do if you're a nice guy. I've had numerous great Uber drivers that always have great chats and everything. But, they're just, some of them are just over the top. And usually it's the ones that are over the top that are the worst drivers. I was driving to work the other day and it's great because I got a new car. It's my pride and joy. I worked my fucking ass off to get to a point where I could buy the car. And I'm not ashamed to gloat and say how good my car is because I really worked hard for it. So, if you think, oh man, this dude just loves talking about how good he is. Fuck you. I don't care. I worked my ass off. And I've got a dash cam now. And the dash cam's the greatest thing ever. It's so good because usually when you're driving and something stupid happens, you don't really have a good, because your brain's kind of in hyperdrive. You're really hypersensitive. Well, this is me anyway when I drive, and I make sure I avoid all that, so I'm really focused. But when you look back on the footage, it's hilarious to watch because you don't realize how stupid some people are. It's funny. But this Uber driver, they're nightmares sometimes because I think the mentality of some Uber drivers, especially in the city, is I need to get there and I don't care about any other car. This is going to make me money, so I'm going, this bloke has pulled out in peak hour traffic, cut across 6 lanes of traffic, pretty much ruined everyone's trip to work just to get from one side of the street to the other side of the street so he could do a U-turn. They're nightmares. And I don't understand how, if you weren't an Uber driver, why would that seem like a good idea? Why? I don't understand. You're putting everyone at danger. Just go around the long way, mate. Be a normal driver. And the other thing to do with Uber, not Uber drivers, but Uber Eats drivers on scooters, man. They are maniacs. I don't understand. I got a fine 3 years ago, right? Because my phone rang, I clicked the button, so I reached over, clicked the button to mute the call because I wasn't going to answer the call, and a copper pulled me up for that. I literally wasn't looking at the screen, I just touched my phone, and I got a fine. It was like a $300 fine too, so eat dicks to that dude. But the thing I don't understand is I see coppers all around. This, once again, not a dig at police, okay? I've never had a bad issue with police. I've never, I'm not one of those, FTP dudes. They're doing their job. They're doing their job. Like I'm doing my job, like you're doing your job. They're just doing their job. Leave the poor blokes alone. But they're driving past these guys on, Uber Eats scooters. The Uber Eats scooter drivers, all they do is they're just sitting on their phone while they're scooting around. So I'm trying to navigate my way around the city, which is already confusing as fuck. Yet you've got these little dudes on scooters who they'll just be looking at and it'll be like, oh shit, this is my turn. And then they'll veer off. And you're like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really do anything to my safety. I mean, like, I'm driving a pretty big car, but this dude, like, if I hit him, then I'm in trouble because he's an idiot driver. Like, I don't understand. Just, if you drive Uber Eats, just be normal. Especially with the bike riders. If you can't, like, cyclists, I get, they usually, they can cycle the speed limit, at least in, like, a 50, 60 zone. These dudes on, like, some, picked up bike that they found on the side of the street, and they're riding around going, like, pedaling about 15 Ks, and they're riding in the middle of the lane. Just, like, use your fucking brain. Just get on the freaking footpath, okay? There's enough shit going on the road already. You don't need to just be on your bike, just pedaling around. Just get on the footpath. If you can't ride the speed limit, just get on the footpath. It's seriously not hard. And I mean, in the back, like, and that's another thing. You see these guys just, like, jacking up on their bikes, and then the food in the background just, like, sloshing everywhere. Kia and I got Uber Eats once, and Kia made the mistake. She got Luxar, which is like a soup, if you don't know what Luxar is. And this dude has just emptied the thing while he was riding around. I think he was riding a scooter too, so God knows how quick he was driving. But I got the Luxar, I picked up the bag. The bag was just sopping. I just looked at the dude like, and he looked at me like, sometimes it be like that. Like, why? It's never like that. Just drive normally and the thing won't spill. Sorry. You know what this problem is? I'm ranting so much because I've had such a shit week. So, if you've had a shit week and this is making you feel better because you're like, yeah, fuck those guys, I'm glad. You're welcome. Yeah. Oh, man, that felt good. Oh, sometimes a rant feels so good. Apologies, because that is like the half the podcast talking about Uber drivers. But, it is what it is. That feels good. God damn, that felt good. Okay. Sorry, gang. Sorry, I went in. I did go in, but sometime it be like that. Alrighty. On a serious note, not a serious note, but on a kind of happier note, this week we had Are You OK Day, and I'm sure everyone's seen, people posting about it, and that's great. It's seriously so good. I got nothing bad to say about it. I'm glad that this is a thing. I'm glad that in 2019, it's okay to feel that there's enough stuff out there that's promoting people that if you're not feeling okay, you can go get help. I feel like, especially in men, especially for me, because, my brain's a fucking mess. Like, that's half the point behind the podcast this helps me so much. And I have chats to everyone else, people. I've actually just recently sold one of my old microphones to someone who wants to start their own podcast, and we kind of communicated about how it's to be like real, to be who you are, talking. Like, I think this is one of those moments where you get to see exactly what I'm thinking. And I'm hoping, my whole point behind this podcast is I hope that if you are having a rough time, that you feel like you can listen to some of the shit that I talk about and resonate with it and know you're not alone. So, this week mentally has been pretty shit. Not having Kia here is really, it's hard for me. Not that I'm just like so reliant on her or anything like that, but she really keeps me sane. Like, she's great to talk to, she listens, and I get to unload a lot of my problems onto her. So, having that person in your life, and, I've never been one to talk about how I'm feeling, and it's taken me a long time to get to a point where if I'm not feeling okay, I can talk to her about it, or I can talk to my parents about it. So I love that this is now a thing. It's a thing that it's okay to not be okay, and you don't feel like, I feel like just thinking about my friends, I don't think there's anyone that I know that if I had a problem and went to them and spoke about it, that they would judge me or say like, he's weak or he's a bit of a soft cock or whatever. That's really cool. So if you're, if you don't have that sort of support, I think all these days, like, Are You Okay? And, the live-in stuff and all that sort of stuff is so awesome. It's really cool. But a big thing I want to kind of express, and I know I don't have a big platform. I know that there's not many people that listen, and I'm not making this podcast because of that, but let's make sure this is not just a one-day thing. Like, let's do it all the time. And the cool thing about it is too, it's a lot of social media based. So, everyone looks at social media like it's shit and how it's so toxic for you. But, from what I saw on Are You Okay Day, going through Instagram stories and stuff like that, it's all people saying how willing they are to have a chat if you need it. And it's people who I don't know, but I'm sure if I reached out to them, they'd be cool with it. So let's, collectively not make it Are You Okay Day. Create an environment where it's always like that. You should always be able to communicate with people who will help you. And that's not, professionals, that's just friends and family and stuff. So, it's collectively as a society, I reckon, because it's already happening, but keep the movement going, man. It's sick. It's really cool. I love it. It's something at school as well with the kids that I try to really express to them that, shit happens and you should be able to talk about it. And, I think if you really expose kids that are younger, 14, 15, where it is a shit time in your life, it's really, I remember when I was 14, 15, I was just an emotional wreck. You just getting just overloads of hormones and you were just like, what the fuck do I do with all of this? So, it's cool that this is happening with people in their 20s and, their late teens, but expressing it to younger kids as well. But yeah, I'm glad I got to end this podcast with that, because that's something that's important to me, someone who has a bit of a shit time with their head sometimes. So yeah, if you're having a rough time, please talk to someone. Odds are you're probably not alone and all that sort of stuff. And coming from someone who has started to open up to other people, it helps so much. And if what you need to do is start a podcast to get your feelings out there, fucking do that, man. Because this has been one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life, being able to do this. And like I said, I don't do this because I want it to be big. I don't do this because I want to be the next fucking Joe Rogan. I just do this because it makes me feel good. So if that's you, do it, man. I've got 2 extra mics. Hit me up if you want one. Take it. I don't know, sing, rap, speak. Do something that makes you feel good, man, because it helps. It helps so fucking much. Anyway, that's 28 minutes, man. So, guys, you know it. I say it every week, and I hope it's becoming a regular thing. You know it's coming, man. If you're driving to work, guys, have a fucking great day. If you're coming home from work and it was a shit day, go home, have a beer, reset, do whatever you need to do. Film a podcast. If it's your weekend, I don't know, go hang out with someone you haven't hung out in a while. Check in on your mate from primary school. How are they doing? Catch up with them. It's all about making other people feel good. Have a rant if you need it, but don't let it ruin your day, because I feel really good now. So, peace out, Hermit Gang. I'll see you next episode. Gang, man, that feels good. Catch you later, guys. Peace. Well, I got lost in you, and now I